Chapter 2. The Return of the Iron Man. One evening, a farmer's son, a boy called Hogarth, was fishing in a stream that ran down to the sea. It was growing too dark to fish. His hook kept getting caught in weeds and bushes. So he stopped fishing and came up from the stream and stood listening to the owls in the wood, further up the valley, and the sea behind him. "Hush," said the sea, and again, "Hush, hush, hush." Suddenly, he felt a strange feeling. He felt he was being watched. He felt afraid. He turned and looked up the steep field to the top of the high cliff. Behind the skyline was the sheer, rocky cliff and the sea. And on that skyline, just above the edge of it, in the dusk, were two green lights. What were two green lights doing at the top of a cliff? Then, as Hogarth watched, a huge, dark figure climbed up over the cliff top. The two lights rose into the sky. They were the giant figure's eyes. A giant black figure taller than a house, black and towering in the twilight, with green headlamp eyes. The Iron Man! There, he stood on the cliff top, looking inland. Hogarth began to run. He ran and ran. Home! Home! The Iron Man had come back. So he got home at last, and gasping for breath, he told his dad, "An Iron Man! An Iron Man! A giant!" His father frowned. His mother grew pale. His little sister began to cry. His father took down the double-barreled gun. He believed his son. He went out. He locked the door. He got in his car. He drove to the next farm. But that farmer laughed. He was a fat red man with a fat red-mouthed laugh. When he stopped laughing, his eyes were red too. "An Iron Man? Nonsense," he said. So Hogarth's father got back in the car. Now it was dark and it had begun to rain. He drove it to the next farm. That farmer frowned. He believed. "Tomorrow," he said, "we must see what it is, this Iron Man. His feet will have left tracks in the earth." So Hogarth's father again got back into his car, but as he turned the car in the yard, he saw a strange thing in the headlamps. Half a tractor lay there, just half, chopped clean off, the other half missing. He got out of his car, and the other farmer came to look too. The tractor had been bitten off. There were big teeth marks in the steel. No explanation. The two men looked at each other. They were puzzled and afraid. What could have bitten the tractor in two? There, in the yard, in the rain, in the night, while they had been talking inside the house. The farmer ran in and bolted his door. Hogarth's father jumped into his car and drove off into the night and the rain as fast as he could homeward. The rain poured down. Hogarth's father drove hard. The headlamps lit up the road and bushes. Suddenly, two headlamps in a tall treetop at the roadside ahead. Headlamps in a treetop? How? Hogarth's father slowed, peering up to see what the lights might be, up there in the treetop. As he slowed, a giant iron foot came down into the middle of the road, a foot as big as a single bed. And the headlamps came down closer, and a giant hand reached down toward the windshield. The Iron Man!